You can drop to your living room floor right now and do 1,000 crunches. You can ruthlessly starve yourself, eating nothing but dry celery sticks and drinking ice water. You can force yourself to run on a treadmill until your knees ache and your feet are blistered. And after all of that agonizing, exhausting effort, you will look in the mirror, and that stubborn belly will still be staring right back at you. Millions of adults over the age of 60 are locked in a deeply frustrating, completely demoralizing battle with their waistline. You assume that because your metabolism has slowed down, getting a paunch or a beer belly is simply an unavoidable, harmless reality of getting older. You think it is just a place where your body is passively storing a little extra energy. You are entirely terrifyingly wrong. What if I told you that the belly fat you can grab with your fingers, the soft, jiggly tissue directly under your skin, is actually completely harmless to your cardiovascular system? The real enemy is a substance you cannot see, and you cannot pinch. It is a hidden, highly toxic parasitic tissue buried deep inside your torso. It is aggressively strangling your liver, choking your pancreas, and actively destroying your heart. Today, we are going to expose the silent killer known as visceral fat. We are going to look under the microscope to understand exactly why this specific type of fat acts like an infectious tumor, pumping out poisons that drive massive cardiovascular disease. We will uncover the terrifying phenomenon where you can have skinny arms and legs yet still be in grave danger. But most importantly, I am going to reveal a highly specific, scientifically validated protocol out of Japan. I will show you how combining a specific plant pigment, a powerful compound hidden in tea leaves, and a rigid mathematical rule for movement was clinically proven to slash deadly belly fat by an astonishing 48% in just 2 months. Stop the crunches, throw away your bathroom scale, and let us fundamentally redesign your metabolism. To defeat this enemy, you must first understand exactly what it is. In the human body, not all fat is created equal. The fat on the back of your arms or on your thighs is called subcutaneous fat. It sits just beneath the skin. Biologically speaking, subcutaneous fat is a passive savings account. It just sits there, quietly holding on to energy. It does not interact much with your internal organs. It is vanity fat. But as we cross the age of 60, our hormones drastically shift. Estrogen drops in women, testosterone drops in men, and our bodies begin depositing fat in an entirely different, incredibly dangerous location, deep inside the abdominal cavity, physically wrapping around our vital organs. This is visceral fat. Visceral fat is not passive. It is highly, violently, biologically active. In the medical community, we do not even view it as fat. We view it as an endocrine organ. It acts like a toxic rogue gland. It constantly spits out massive amounts of inflammatory chemicals called adipocytokines directly into your bloodstream. It severely disrupts your natural hormone balance, and it is the absolute primary driver of insulin resistance, pushing you directly toward type 2 diabetes and catastrophic heart disease. Think of visceral fat like a biological parasite. It forcefully latches onto your liver, your stomach, and your intestines, and it actively feeds off your body's internal inflammation. This leads to a terrifying medical condition known as TOFI, thin outside, fat inside. You can look at someone who appears perfectly skinny in their clothes. They have thin arms, a thin face, and thin legs. But if you put them in an MRI machine, their entire abdominal cavity is choked and packed tightly with visceral fat. Because they look thin on the outside, their doctors never sound the alarm, making TOFI arguably more dangerous than visible clinical obesity. So how do you know if you are harboring this parasite? There is a very simple physical symptom check you can perform right now. Stand up and gently poke your stomach. If your belly is soft, squishy, and hangs loosely, that is mostly harmless subcutaneous fat. But if your belly sticks straight out, if it looks like you swallowed a basketball, and the physical tissue feels hard, firm, and drum-tight to the touch, you are in danger. That firmness is not muscle. That firmness is the sheer, brutal physical pressure of massive amounts of visceral fat pushing outward against your abdominal wall from the inside. That hard belly is your liver screaming for help. To kill this parasite, we cannot rely on the outdated advice of simply eating less and moving more. We need a highly targeted 3-step biochemical attack. We must cut off its food supply, we must actively block its digestive enzymes, and we must burn it out of the organs. Step 1 involves your diet. But I am not going to give you the generic, useless advice to eat more vegetables. We need to target the exact root cause of visceral fat formation. I want you to imagine the cells in your body are like the engine of a car. When an engine is forced to run too hot for too long with cheap oil, the metal begins to severely rust. Inside your body, that rust is called oxidative stress. It is caused by unstable molecules called free radicals tearing through your tissue. I want you to imagine the cells in your body are like the engine of a car. When an engine is forced to run too hot for too long with cheap oil, the metal begins to severely rust. Inside your body, that rust is called oxidative stress. It is caused by unstable molecules called free radicals tearing through your tissue. Visceral fat absolutely loves this rust. It thrives in a highly oxidized, highly inflamed environment. To kill the fat, we must actively scrape the rust out of your system. And the absolute most powerful, scientifically proven rust removers in the natural world come from a highly specific family of chemical compounds called carotenoids. Carotenoids are the biological pigments that give plants their vibrant, brilliant colors. It is the bright orange in a carrot, the deep blood red in a tomato, and the dark, rich green in a spinach leaf. A fascinating, double-blind clinical study conducted in Japan explored the direct metabolic power of these pigments. The researchers took a group of adults struggling with abdominal obesity and did not force them to starve. They simply instructed them to drastically increase their daily intake of carotenoid-rich vegetables, specifically targeting carrots and deep green cabbage, for just 8 weeks. The physiological results were staggering. The massive influx of carotenoids acted like a chemical shield inside the body. They aggressively neutralized the free radicals, entirely halting the oxidative rust. But more importantly, the carotenoids physically interacted with the participants' DNA. They actively flipped a genetic switch. They turned on the specific genes responsible for fat oxidation, burning fat, and they forcefully turned off the genetic pathways responsible for storing new visceral fat. By simply flooding their bloodstream with color, the participants experienced a massive, statistically significant reduction in deep visceral fat. The protocol here is undeniable. If you want to shrink your waistline, you must eat the rainbow. And I do not mean fruit-flavored candies. I am talking about sweet potatoes, red bell peppers, dark leafy greens, and squash. Look down at your dinner plate. If the food is predominantly beige, if it is bread, pasta, white rice, or crackers, you are actively feeding the parasite. If the food is vibrant orange, dark green, or deep red, you are actively killing it. Now, we must transition to step 2. We have addressed what you are eating, but we must radically change what you are drinking. There is a specific liquid that acts as a master key for your locked fat cells. You have likely heard the common nutritional advice that drinking green tea burns fat. For decades, many seniors dismissed this as a holistic myth or a marketing gimmick. I assure you, it is not a myth. It is hard, proven biochemistry. But you must understand exactly how it works. Otherwise, you will completely ruin the mechanism. Green tea leaves are loaded with a highly potent class of polyphenols called catechins. The specific superstar catechin we care about is called epigallocatechin gallade, universally known as EGCG. The mechanism of EGCG is an absolute marvel of human biology. I want you to think of your fat cells as having a heavy, locked front door. Under normal circumstances, that door is sealed shut. The catechins in green tea act like a chemical lockpick. They slip into your bloodstream, stimulate your sympathetic nervous system, and force the fat cells to open the door, drastically boosting your body's ability to undergo fat oxidation. But EGCG does something even more powerful. It actively hunts down and inhibits an enzyme in your digestive tract called lipase. Lipase is the specific enzyme responsible for breaking down the dietary fat you eat so that your intestines can absorb it into your bloodstream. When you consume a heavy dose of EGCG, it acts like a giant, intimidating bouncer standing at the front door of your gut. When you eat a fatty meal, the EGCG bouncer crosses its arms and says, "No, we are shutting down the lipase. We are not letting all this fat into the body." A significant portion of the fat simply passes through your digestive system unabsorbed. A massive, randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled trial proved this definitively. Participants who drank catechin-enriched green tea every day for 12 weeks experienced a massive, rapid reduction in deep visceral fat compared to the placebo group. But here is the critical warning, and this is where millions of seniors make a fatal error. You cannot achieve this biological effect by going to a gas station or a grocery store and buying a plastic bottle of sweet-flavored green tea. Those commercial beverages are nothing but highly processed sugar water with a microscopic dusting of tea extract. Drinking them will spike your insulin and aggressively pack more visceral fat directly into your liver. If you want the medicinal benefit, you must consume genuine, high-quality matcha or sencha tea. Matcha is superior because you are not just steeping a tea bag in water. You are consuming the entire pulverized tea leaf. This delivers a massive, highly concentrated dose of EGCG. Furthermore, there is a brilliant chemical synergy at play. The natural caffeine in the matcha works perfectly with the catechins. It is a biological 1-2 punch. The caffeine revs the engine of your metabolism, and the catechins unlock the fuel tank so the engine can burn the fat. Now, we arrive at the third and absolutely most crucial step of the Japanese protocol. We must discuss movement. Changing your diet is brilliant for total, overall weight loss. If you stop eating calories, your entire body will shrink. But clinical data proves that while diet shrinks the whole body, exercise is the laser-guided missile specifically programmed to destroy visceral fat. The problem is, seniors are given terrible advice regarding exercise. You assume you need to become a marathon runner or lift massive weights to burn belly fat. In reality, pushing an aging body into extreme, agonizing aerobic exercise will cause your adrenal glands to violently spike your cortisol levels. As we know, high cortisol forces your body to hoard belly fat. I want to share the details of a study that completely shattered the exercise paradigm in cardiology. It was a massive meta-analysis analyzing 117 different studies on fat loss. They isolated a very precise mathematical protocol. In the primary study, participants were instructed to ride a stationary bicycle for exactly 45 minutes. They only did this twice a week, 2 simple sessions. But, and this is the absolute key to the entire protocol, they rode at a highly specific, mathematically calculated intensity. They rode at exactly 75% of their VO2 peak. After 2 months of this protocol, the researchers brought the participants back in. When the participants stepped on the bathroom scale, the number barely moved. They had not lost much total weight. This is exactly why you must throw your scale in the garbage. The scale is a liar. Because while the scale did not move, the MRI machines revealed something miraculous. Their deep, deadly visceral fat had dropped by an astonishing 48%. Almost half of the toxic parasite strangling their organs was completely eradicated in just 8 weeks, with only 2 workouts a week. Furthermore, their cellular insulin sensitivity improved by 41%. From a clinical perspective, they had essentially reversed the biological markers of prediabetes. So, what exactly is 75% intensity, and how do you achieve it without wearing an expensive oxygen mask in a sports science laboratory? You do not need a lab coat. You just need the talk test. The talk test is the ultimate gauge of your cardiovascular output. If you are walking around your neighborhood and you can easily sing a song or hum a tune without taking a breath, you are walking too slowly. That is not 75%. You are not conditioning the heart. Conversely, if you are sprinting or climbing a massive hill and you feel like your chest is on fire and you physically cannot speak a single word, you are pushing too hard. You have entered the anaerobic zone. Your cortisol is spiking. You must find the sweet spot directly in the middle. You are at exactly 75% intensity when you can speak in full, complete sentences, but you sound noticeably winded. You should sound exactly like you just walked up 3 flights of stairs carrying a bag of groceries. You can talk to the person next to you, but you would really rather not. That specific level of mild sustained cardiovascular stress is the biological zone. That is where the metabolic magic happens. That is the exact frequency that forces your body to crack open the visceral fat vaults to fuel the movement. Now I must issue a final severe warning about the psychological trap of weight loss after 60. When older adults decide they want to lose their belly, their immediate panicked instinct is to starve themselves. They drop their caloric intake to 500 calories a day. They attempt OMAD, 1 meal a day, without any preparation. They try to fast for 3 days straight. This is a biological disaster. Hard data shows that severe caloric restriction hits a brick wall. There is a strict limit to how much starving helps before your thyroid completely panics. When you starve yourself, your brain assumes there is a famine. To protect you from dying, it drastically slows down your basal metabolic rate. It actively holds onto the visceral fat as an emergency survival fund. Exercise is fundamentally different. A massive recent study published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine revealed that cardiovascular exercise has a dose-dependent response for visceral fat. What does this mean? It means there is no upper limit. If you restrict your calories, your body fights back. But if you exercise a little, you burn a little visceral fat. If you exercise a lot, you burn a lot of visceral fat. The metabolic machinery never hits a plateau. The strategy for longevity is not starvation. You must eat enough nutrient-dense, colorful, carotenoid-rich foods to fully fuel your cellular engine, and then you use the 75% movement protocol to create the caloric deficit. You build the machine with food, and you burn the fat with movement. Let us rapidly synthesize this into an actionable plan you can start tomorrow morning. Step 1. The scavenger hunt. Look at your plate before you eat. If it is entirely brown or beige, you must put the fork down. You must add one massive serving of a deeply colored, vibrant vegetable to every single meal. Carrots, spinach, red peppers. This is your biological rust remover. Step 2. The liquid key. Tomorrow morning, replace your second cup of coffee with a pure, high-quality cup of matcha green tea. Do not add milk, and absolutely do not add sugar. If you need flavor, add a squeeze of fresh lemon juice, which actually helps your body absorb the catechins. You are deploying the bouncer to your gut to block the lipase enzyme. Step 3. The 75% solution. You must do cardiovascular exercise. I know the fitness influencers claim that cardio kills your muscle gains. Ignore them. To kill visceral fat, you need sustained, rhythmic movement. Aim for 3 to 4 sessions a week, exactly 45 minutes long. It does not matter if you ride a stationary bike, use a rowing machine, or walk briskly up a steep incline on a treadmill. The machine does not matter. The talk test matters. If you are not slightly out of breath, you are not burning the belly. Consistency will always defeat intensity. The absolute best exercise routine in the world is not the one that burns the most calories on a spreadsheet. It is the one that does not destroy your joints, so you will actually still be doing it 3 months from now. Visceral fat is the silent, unseen driver of almost every chronic, deadly disease we face as we age. But your body is a brilliant, resilient machine. It desperately wants to heal. It just needs you to provide the correct biochemical signals. Stop starving it. Start fueling it with the right pigments, unlock it with the right tea, and move it at the exact right pace. If this video helped you understand the profound machinery of your own body, please hit the subscribe button and tap the notification bell. My commitment is to decode the complex medical science and bring you the unvarnished truth every single week so you can make the absolute best decisions for your future.